Our tale starts in my Discord chat room. I've recently added a new room called Items, where members can discuss items of significance from eBay and the like. You know what I'm talking about. So, a brief discussion in this room empowered me to visit this auction, where I found an Amiga games console together with CD and floppy disk format games, or at least that's what it was titled, but one with a completely incorrect image. Therefore, I knew some of the software included from the other photo, but had no idea what this mysterious Amiga games console could be. It's clear that it must be CD-ROM and floppy based, and indeed there are some further clues in the box of software itself. But we've got older floppy disk OCS games from both the 80s and 90s, mixed with some more recent CDs. There's some mid-90s Amiga format cover discs, for example. I decided that the only way to find out was to bid, and bid I did. The lot was secured for £110, plus other fees, bringing the total to just under £150. I had my own ideas, but I put the question of what this mystery console may be to my patrons, who came up with answers ranging from an Amiga 500 with a 570 CD drive, to a CD TV, or even a CD32 with an SX1 add-on. Of course, time would tell as I began the journey to Bourne auction rooms in Lincolnshire to obtain this mystery lot. So, me and Octavius are en route to the Bourne House auction rooms to collect this mysterious Amiga and see what it is. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is very exciting.
Yes, it is. This is Octavius.
Stop driving so erratically.
I can't help it. It's bumpy round here. Jesus Christ.
So bouncy.
So bouncy. Anyway, we'll do some more recording when we get to the auction, shall we?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we've arrived at the Bourne auction rooms. Over there, we can see there we go, there they are. So we're going to go in and see what this box is. Ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Go!
Go!
That's a really cool thing.
So what do you think it's going to be?
Well, I'm kind of a very pessimistic person, so I think it might just be a crappy A500 with some sort of disk drive.
So, here's the first box. I'm not sure what's in yet, other than what we can see on the top.
There's a lot of discs in here.
Yeah, so here's the second box. It's quite obvious from the top what the console is, but there's some other stuff inside, so we'll get them back to the house and then check what exactly we have here. So the items are in the back. Clearly we've got an Amiga 1200, lots of games, but it looks like there might be an accelerator board in that 1200 as well, so looking quite good. No, but not yours. Stop touching them. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so here we are. The items have been retrieved. We've got them back. They're not Octavius's, they're all mine, just to clarify. So we know we've got an Amiga 1200, which is a pretty good score, isn't it?
It's a bit grubby though.
It is quite grubby. It's probably the most obvious machine to expect from this lot of software, but it's not what I was expecting. So that's pretty good if it works, or partially works. But then there's also this. So this is an A1230 Turbo Plus expansion board for the 1200. It's an Amiga 1200 accelerator, which is a pretty good score if it's in this expansion slot. Yes, look at that, it's got the accelerator expansion with a 68030 processor. Wow. That is pretty good. This is a good auction lot just for that, really.
Right, games. Rise of the Robots.
Yes,
one of your favourites.
my favourite game of all time.
A-Train.
A-Train is one of my favourite games of all time.
Right, Wales Voyage.
Yeah. Anyway, rather than bore you going through each title, suffice to say there's a lot of software here. Some games are outstanding gems like Rise of the Robots. And others are more obscure, but a good selection nevertheless.
It's the entire control panel for your rocket ship.
Whoa, is that in the shuttle game?
Yeah.
Whoa,
look at that!
Is mental.
Can you imagine how this is going to be to learn how to play?
It's going to take you a lifetime.
My God!
No wonder this guy didn't have a job. Jesus
This
Christ!
massive instruction book, but
He was a proper bloody shuttle pilot.
It's got schematics and everything. My reference to this guy not having a job is also because his P45 was in the box. Clearly this has been in the loft for a long time. Possibly as far back as 1998 by the look of it. Or the previous owner. Date left previous employment 1998. Oh.
That may be when he stashed his Amiga away. There are also a number of CD drives and external floppy units that need testing, especially given some of the inexplicable damage which some seem to have endured. The other box is like a sea of cover discs and public domain software. The previous owner was clearly a power user, and there's a mix of his own saved files and commercial titles. Oh, he's written over an Atari game with an Amiga's game. Fred Fish! He's put the Fred Fish catalogue disc on the Atari Power Pack. Double Dragon as well. There's also some really interesting things like this letter.
Thanks for your order. Dawn 2 and extras attached. Black Dawn 7 wasn't coded by me, it was done by a guy called Sean Walters and sells through something. See Legions of Dawn demo for their address. I've heard the graphics are good but the game sucks, not sure whether to advise getting it. Cheers. Andy? Andy J. Campbell, developer of Dawn 2 apparently.
Oh, okay, so he developed Dawn. So this is an original letter from the developer of Dawn 2. Wow.
And apparently Dawn 7 is crap.
Anyway, I think we should get this kit back to the office and see what is what. Check what condition that 1200 is really in and see how that expansion card really checks out. So, everything is safely back in the office, and more importantly, it's safe from Octavius trying to steal it. So, I'm going to go through all this and see what else I can discover, and also talk to you about that letter, because there's something quite interesting I have discovered since reading it. Okay, let's get started. So this Amiga, it is very grubby. It's going to need some cleaning up with my stain removing wipes, which I used to clean my last Amiga. But rather than switching this on, I think I'm going to take this apart and recap it and make a separate video about that. On initial inspection, you can't see very much there, but the expansion card looks pretty good. It looks in quite nice condition, but I'm going to take it apart properly to have a proper look at that and see what we're dealing with. Now here's the expansion, the A1230 Turbo Plus Series 2. These come in different flavours, if you will. We've got up to 32 megabytes. Okay, so it looks like this is a 4 megabyte board. So it could be better, but you know, still quite happy with that. So this CD drive, no idea what happened to this. On first inspection it might look like water damage or something, but it looks like it's been filed away. Don't know if he's tried to file the rust off, potentially, but yeah, that's not in the greatest condition. But we've got a SCSI CD-ROM, which we'll need to look at in a bit more detail. We've got the floppy disk drives as well to look at. So, as I was saying, this letter, pretty interesting. Now this was for a game called Black Dawn 2, which was programmed by Andy Campbell. So here's the Black Dawn 2 disc. I don't know what's happened to it. It's the registered version, but he's put some masking tape around the sides and kind of blacked that out. So I don't know if this has got something else on it, or whether he was just trying to make it look like Black Dawn. I don't know, but that is the disc in question. He's talking about Black Dawn 7, which wasn't coded by him, it was coded by Sean Waters. Now, I'm not sure if Black Dawn 7 was released as PD back in the 90s, but interestingly, when I was researching this, I discovered it's being released this year in a big box format. Sean Waters is doing some coding on it and it's coming out soon. So, you know, I don't want to be the breaker of bad news. It says here that he's heard the graphics are good but the game sucks. I would hope the game has been improved since the 90s, or it's in the process of improvement. But timing wise, that's fascinating. This is a piece of history which is relevant today. I might frame it and put it on the wall. Anyway, that's the mystery Amiga console. It was an Amiga 1200, nice accelerator board, loads of software, loads of stuff to look at. We've even got Mikkel's School of Motoring, who Mr. Dodge, the previous owner, had some lessons booked with. I imagine he'd just turned 17 or 18. I mean, there's loads of pirated discs and discs with Mr. Dodge's own images and stuff on there, loads to look through, so we'll come back to this. I know I keep saying that. We will come back to this in future videos. So, thanks for watching, thanks to Octavius for helping me on my mission, and I will see you soon. Have a great evening. It's like peering into someone's past, isn't it? It's like a window into their life, because a lot of our lives were contained on these machines. You know, what we did, things we wrote, art we created, things we peered at, all on these discs. It feels like I'm kind of spying into his life. It feels a bit wrong, especially as I don't know what happened to the chap. Yeah, maybe he just got bored of his Amiga. Maybe he passed his driving test and he was like, I don't need my Amiga anymore. I'm going to go out, drive my car, go to pubs, find some women, because he'd have to say it in that accent.